The views and opinions expressed in this program are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect the views of BronxNet or the program underwriters.
I welcome all of you to Bronx Borough Hall to our Juneteenth celebration. I am proud to serve as your Bronx Borough President, Vanessa Gibson. I thank each and every one of you for being here today. This is our official Juneteenth flag raising at Bronx Borough Hall. I want to acknowledge our partner, Deborah Aguama, who is the founder of Creating Unity in the Community. Give it up for Deborah, creating unity in the community. And today we are going to be raising the flag, recognizing the Juneteenth celebration, which we know is officially on Sunday, June 19th, which also happens to be Father's Day. But we wanted to take this moment on this Monday to host our event here at Bronx Borough Hall. So as many of you know, Juneteenth is our annual commemoration, which occurs on June 19th, one of the oldest celebrations of the abolition of slavery in this country. And it is recognized as an observance in roughly half of our states in the United States. And it's a reminder of the ending of our nation's history of slavery in the U.S. The history of Juneteenth traces all the way back to 1865, when the Union Army, led by Major General Grander, arrived in Galveston, Texas, with the news that the Civil War had ended and that all slaves were now free. And President Lincoln issued the Emancipation Proclamation on January 1st of 1863. We know that slavery did not end in Texas until 2 years later. In 1968, Juneteenth received a strong resurgence through the Poor People's March on Washington, D.C. Many attendees at this rally returned home to initiate their own Juneteenth celebrations in areas where commemorations were not previously held. In 1994, the era of the modern Juneteenth movement began when a group of Juneteenth leaders from across the country gathered in New Orleans at the Christian Unity Baptist Church to work from a greater national recognition of the Juneteenth celebration. On October 14th of 2020, former Governor Andrew Cuomo signed into law designating Juneteenth as an official public holiday in the great state of New York. So this law allows us to officially celebrate and commemorate Juneteenth, a day which recognizes the end of slavery and celebrates Black and African Americans' freedom, liberty, justice, achievements, progress, all of the great work we've done while encouraging self-development, building our communities, saving our children and families, celebrating our African culture. And right here in the city of New York, when we were involved in so many efforts affirming that Black Lives Matter after the horrific murder of George Floyd, our former mayor, Bill de Blasio, declared that Juneteenth would become an official city holiday in the city of New York, marking Juneteenth in our great city. So we know that in addition to the state and the city of New York, the Department of Education is also declaring Juneteenth as a holiday for school students. And we started June 20th of this year, we will begin to recognize in New York City's public schools. I also want to recognize, because I was a part of this along with many elected officials, last year, the New York City Department of Parks and Recreation announced that we would start to rename parks across the 5 boroughs in an effort to honor African American history. The first park to be renamed was Cadman Plaza in Brooklyn, now known as Juneteenth Grove. Give it up. That's important. I also want to acknowledge that in Harlem, we renamed a park in honor of Percy Sutton in the village of Harlem. Now has a park named in his honor. And right here in our borough of the Bronx, this fall and this September, we're going to rename Mullally Park, Mullally Recreation Center, and Mullally Pool in honor of the first African-American elected to the New York City Council from Bronx County, the late, great Reverend T. Wendell Foster. So we're going to continue to make sure that our children know the history of Juneteenth. We can't move forward as a people if we don't know where our ancestors have come from. We have to know our history so that we can move forward. We have to make sure our children know as we raise these flags, we honor Black Americans, African Americans, veterans. We honor so many that stood firm. Tuskegee Airmen like Roscoe Brown, Buffalo Soldiers, Marines. We honor so many. Reverend Ronald Myers, the founder and chairman of the National Juneteenth Observance Foundation. There is so much to celebrate, and Juneteenth is super important, so we are so grateful. I want to recognize, I'm not sure if they're here yet, but we have an advocate on behalf of Bronx Healthcare, Jocelyn LeBron, representing 1199. I want to recognize Ron Brown at the Project Africa Restoration. Is Ron here? Okay. I also want to recognize Dr. Esther Seabrook, Blacks in Government, Region 2 Board of Directors. I want to also acknowledge Ralph Sanders. Thank you. All of these gentlemen and men and women had a role in today's event. I also want to acknowledge, if she's here, Natasha Rowe. Okay, just making sure. Also want to take this moment to recognize my colleagues and elected officials who work with us every single day, who are here with us, our members of the judiciary. I want to shout out to our court officers who helped us with today's event, as well as DCAS. Thank you so much to the Department of Citywide Administrative Services. Want to acknowledge our partner here at Bronx Borough Hall. We are the only borough in the city of New York led by 2 women of color. That is happening on purpose and not by design. And I'm so grateful she is our partner. Everything about the Bronx, we are traveling and making sure that we represent the priorities of this great borough. Ladies and gentlemen, help me welcome our Deputy Borough President, Janet Biguero. We have this district, District 79, our Assembly member, Chantel Jackson, and TJ. TJ is the official president of the Baby Caucus. Amen. We have our District 16 in this community, our New York City Council member, Althea Stevens. Members of the judiciary, Supreme Court Judge Bianca Perez. Supreme Court Justice Kim Adair Wilson. Bronx County Civil Court Justice John Howard Algarin. Civil Court Justice Wanda Negron. State Supreme Court Justice Sean Kelly. And we also were joined by another judge, Supreme Court Justice, former District Attorney of the Bronx, the Honorable Robert Johnson was here. I think he had to go back to court. But we are, District Leader, yes, let me acknowledge, District 79, our District Leader, Lenita Jones. Anyone else? Okay, sorry. And we have many, many, many community leaders who are here, so I want to thank you all for being here, because Juneteenth is a celebration of the past. It's a recognition of the present, but it's also looking to the future to make sure that we do our part to protect our babies. Earlier today, Chantel Jackson and I and many elected officials joined Governor Kathy Hochul because we were signing legislation into state law, 10 bills that are going to keep New Yorkers safe related to public safety and gun control legislation. New York can lead by example. When you see mass shootings across this country where African Americans are slaughtered in a supermarket on a mid-Saturday afternoon, you know we have challenges. Or children, babies, second and third graders at an elementary school in Uvalde, Texas, are killed in their own classroom. We know from Buffalo to Brooklyn to the Bronx, this is happening all across this country. And so Juneteenth to me is a reminder of the service, of the sacrifice, of the labor of love of Black Americans across this country. Until we're all free, none of us are free. Because we have to make sure that we recognize we are all in this together. We are stronger together as a community. Our ancestors fought and died for us to be here today. And we stand on their shoulders as borough presidents, as assembly members, as council members, as judges. We stand on their shoulders because of their service and their sacrifice. And so on this celebration of Juneteenth, it is my honor and privilege to recognize this day, even though June 19th is not yet here, but as borough president, we can do that. We just want to recognize today our official flag-raising event, but we also want to commemorate this day with a citation recognizing Juneteenth. Oh, thanks. All right. So it's too long to read, but essentially, it says, I, Vanessa L. Gibson, President of the Borough of the Bronx, on behalf of more than 1.4 million residents who call the Bronx their home, do hereby proclaim June 19th, 2022 as Juneteenth Day in the Boogie Down Bronx. Okay, as we continue to move the program along, allow me a moment to just ask my colleagues in government to just join us and say a few words. It's really a blessing to work with my colleagues in government. And on this side of town, you have some Black women that are doing the work of God. And I just want to celebrate my sisters, Assemblywoman Chantel Jackson, followed by Councilmember Althea Stevens.
Peace and blessings. Can we give it up for our borough president? And when I tell you, I've been saying this since I met her back in 2015. This lady worked hard, and I'm grateful for everything that she has done for for my city council district, and then for the bigger part of the Bronx. So look, we are out here, people of color, us Black people, we look good. The sun is shining. We are out here because we are celebrating and acknowledging Juneteenth. And I just want us to take a moment and realize where we came from. Our ancestors came here enslaved on ships, just doing the work that they did not ask to do. And here you have a Black woman who is running the borough of the Bronx. You have a Black woman who's representing you in assembly. You have a Black woman that's representing you at the city council level. Like, do you understand what our ancestors has brought us from and how far we have gone? But guess what? We have so much further to go because like our borough president said, we are dealing with gun violence here in our communities. We're dealing with racism. We're dealing with classism. We're dealing with ageism. We're dealing with all the isms. And guess what? You have women here who are willing to fight every single day because our ancestors brought us far, but we have so much further to go. And trust and believe, I'm strapped up, ready to go. Me and TJ. Right, TJ? You see the face. He is serious about this. I'm really excited that I'm grateful that I have the privilege and honor to serve you all, and I'm grateful that we are acknowledging this day because when I was a young person, We didn't even know Juneteenth existed. It wasn't until I became an adult and learned on my own when I went to Texas that there was a such thing as Juneteenth. And so I'm grateful that I get to have these conversations with young people now and really explain to them what it is. And I just want to say thank you all for being here in the hot sun. And I'm going to pass it over to my good sister, my city councilwoman of the 16th district, Althea Stevens.
Thank you. Give it up, give it up. Give it up for yourselves out here. Give yourselves a round of applause for being out here and showing up and keep showing up. I just want to say thank you for being here today. This is a full circle moment, right? When we think about Juneteenth and what this means, right? After the Emancipation Proclamation and 2 years later, there were still slaves enslaved. And think about it now. We still have people who are still enslaved, so we still got work to do. We still have a lot of work to do. We've come far, but we ain't come far enough. We have to continue to educate our young people and let them know our history. Because one thing especially about Black history and African culture, a lot of our history is told through stories and told through word of mouth. But we're not doing that anymore. We're not sitting down to take time to tell our young people the stories of the past and telling them how it was. We have to be the creators and narrators of our stories. So make sure today you find a young person to talk about your history. Talk about these celebrations, right? Talk about how these moments in our history are powerful. Talk about the leaders. Because we know we always talk about the Harriet Tubmans and those. Talk about your grandmother. Talk about Nina Turnbull. Talk about William. Talk about those people who were in your life who made a difference and went to work every day to make sure that you're able to stand here today. Because that's what's really about. We forget about these moments and be in community because we are this community and we need to stay together and be together. When we talk about slavery and we talk about being Latino or Black, it was just about where they dropped you off on the boat. But we don't like to talk about that because it's much easier to divide us and talk about our differences than talk about our unity and us working together. But for Juneteenth, we know this is about a celebration of all of us, each and every one of us. So I just stand here today excited to stand on the shoulders of my ancestors and even to stand on the shoulders of these powerful sisters here because both of these women are always here to have my back. The one thing that you're going to know about us electeds in the Bronx, we work together and we stick together. And we work together. So we're just going to keep doing the work and we're going to keep doing the work with you guys because we don't do none of this alone. All of this is with you in partnership with you and let's keep doing the work. So thank you guys and let's celebrate.
Thank you, Assemblywoman Chantel Jackson and Councilmember Althea Stevens. And now I just want to recognize another community leader just to talk a little bit about Juneteenth. She has many titles, advocate. She has been certainly an advocate against gun violence. We've walked these streets many, many times. She has an organization called Bringing the Peace. We have grown fruits, vegetables in community gardens. Just someone who is truly, truly, truly an example of what leadership is all about. Ladies and gentlemen, family, help me welcome Linda Kemp.
Greetings, greetings. I want to give a thank you to the Honorable Vanessa Gibson, our Borough President, our history maker, for continuing to be a history maker by acknowledging this day of Juneteenth. I remember all the stories growing up. I remember at one point when my kids were little and I sent them to school, and the teacher, when Black History Month came around, the teacher would say, "Miss Kemp, what do your kids know about Black history?" Because our history starts at home. Our history starts at home. So if you have to get a book, if you have to read a story, read it to your children. Read it to your grown children, because some of them they don't know, and they're raising children. As we celebrate this year of Juneteenth in 2020, we, on my side and my organization, has adopted the phrase breaking the chains. So for this Juneteenth 2020, in breaking the chains, we want to break the chains of violence. We want to break the chains of poor education. We want to break the chains of miscommunication. We want to break the chains of not being united when we should be united and stand as one. When we look at the Juneteenth symbol, you see the fist. and that's a fist united. A fist united. So can I get everybody to put their fists up in the air? The Fist United for Juneteenth is uniting all the people of the African diaspora to educate them about the slavery and the slave masters that brought us to this country, of the country that we built. So in saying that, we give this Juneteenth 2020 power. We give our leaders power by uniting. We must stand behind our leadership. We must put on a united front to save our communities and to save our children. So I employ each and every one of us. When I hear the drums, I know that's the drum beat of the heart. So no matter where you come from, if you're part of that diaspora, you know that that's our strength. So continue to beat the drums. I thank you for being here. Juneteenth, I wanted to sing "Lift Every Voice" and sing, but I think Councilwoman said that maybe I can start that. All right, so hello, because I think we should have started with that. All right, so do I have singers in the house? All right, let's go. So we will sing the first voice of "Lift Every Voice" and sing together. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. Lift every voice and sing till earth and heaven rings. Ring with the harmony of liberty. Let our rejoicing rise high as the listening skies. Let us resound loud as the rolling sea. Sing a song full of the hope that the dark past has taught us. Sing a song full of the hope that the present has brought us. Facing the rising sun of a new day begun. Let us march on till victory is won. Amen. Let's march on, folks. Breaking the chains, celebrating Juneteenth. Now, would you like me to pass this on? Remember, and as well, I might as well plug Juneteenth on 169th Street. On Sunday, June 19th, from 11 a.m. to 6 p.m., we will acknowledge Juneteenth in this community. A community that has been plagued, and deemed as one of the poorest congressional districts in the United States. But we are determined to uplift every community in New York City, especially ours, because it is needed. You have to lead by example. So all of you are welcome to come and share the day with us. We will be uplifting Black fatherhood, honoring those who step in the gap and take the place of children that are in need of their father figure. And we have many of them in our communities, uncles, brothers, community directors, just a guy who can look and see that these are our children, and let's guide them in the right way. So let's continue with that, and I'm looking forward to seeing all of you. The address is East 169th Street and Washington Avenue, and we're supported by so many in our community, including our borough president and our elected leaders, our newly elected councilwoman, and we got to big her up, and we got to bring unity to her, and we got to show her that we got her back, and that we're going to stand for the things that we need in our community, and she's a listening ear. So I believe our borough president left us in good hands. So, Vanessa? Would you like Vanessa? There you go. Our borough president, our vice borough president, another history maker, and she knows she Black too.
That part, that's exactly what I was going to address. Thank you so much. Juneteenth for me, I was fortunate enough to learn about Juneteenth and my Black history when I attended Frederick Douglass Academy 1 in in the Black Mecca of Harlem. Um, and every single day, we studied Black history. It wasn't just a month. It was every single day, from English to art to history to global studies, to American history. The history that I was taught was Black history. And that did something to me as a woman that identifies as an Afro Dominicana, because no one stopped to ask my father if he spoke English or not when he walked down the streets. Okay, let's be clear. And just to circle it back to the council member's point, it's what separates us is the island that we were dropped off of, right? And so every single day, I acknowledge my Black culture, my Black identity. And when I was learning about my Black history, that did something to me. And in that moment is when I realized the reason why Black history isn't taught in schools is because it does something to you. It energizes you. It motivates you. It creates a fire in you that forces you to advocate. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. So each and every day I wake up acknowledging my Black diaspora, acknowledging my Black identity, acknowledging the Black women that have paved the way for me to be right here today, okay? Because each and every day I say that Latinos and other cultures, we cannot have the freedoms that we have been afforded without the sacrifices of Black people in America. Let's be very, very, very clear. I am here because of a Black woman. And I acknowledge that each and every day. And we need to acknowledge Juneteenth each and every year. It saddens me that it's taking us this long in 2022 to finally acknowledge it as a holiday. This was planted in my mind early on during my teen years, and it did something to me, to my colleagues, to the students that I grew up with. And right now, there are activists. They take up space in spaces that were not often designed for us. And we are a force to be reckoned with. And so I want to encourage each and every one of you to take a moment and share Black history with everyone, because Black history is American history. Let's be very, very, very clear. And we must celebrate Black history each and every day. And so happy Juneteenth, y'all. Happy Juneteenth. Thank you. Yes, yes. Those drums, listen, as an island gal, does something to. So I'm going to pass it back to our Bronx Borough president.
All right. Thank you, Paradise Drummers. So we still need you to stay and keep playing for us. Unfortunately, we don't have the flag to do the actual flag raising, so I do apologize to everyone. But what we are going to do is make sure that when the flag does get here, we will set a specific time to do the actual unveiling. There was a little bit of a glitch with the delivery, so I do apologize profusely that everyone is here. But we're still celebrating Juneteenth. We're still celebrating. And we will make sure that Bronx Borough Hall is recognized with our official Juneteenth flag. So, Paradise, can you guys give us some musical entertainment? All right. Thank you so much, everyone, for coming out today. Happy Juneteenth. God bless you and keep you, and we look forward to working with you. Thank you so much, everyone.